good. We'll start with any opening comments you have and then go for questions.
I'm pretty sure everybody knows I have comments. We've seen 4 different defensive schemes in the last 4 games. Florida State, great size, switch, interchangeable players. Syracuse 2-3 zone. Duke pressure man-to-man. Virginia pack line, very physical. Long possessions on offense. Typically, we have about 70-plus possessions a game, and you only get about 59 against Virginia. And then we're going to see a different style of defense against Georgia Tech. They'll play matchup, and they'll play man. And so we've seen the whole gambit of defenses here in the last 4 or 5 games, which I think is good for our team and prepares us as we move deeper into our schedule. I thought the Virginia game was definitely an identity win. As far as hard, smart, together, I thought we played extremely hard and together for 40 minutes. We never fractured. We competed every possession. We had a next play mentality. I thought we were very, very, very determined. We shared the ball. I thought the ball movement and the spacing was vastly improved from the game before. We played off 2 feet. We played across the midline. 2 of the threes late were across midline. Reversed the ball. We got the ball on the rim off the bounce and off the pass. It's a luxury to have multiple guys that can play off the bounce and also guys who can post up. And we posted up our guards a lot against Virginia. Obviously, it was a gritty, grimy, tough win. We defended really well for 40 minutes, 36% field goal percentage. I thought it was the grittiest win of the season. We had multiple efforts on defense. Man, Zay and Davian did a great job of getting through hundreds of screens. When it gets blocker mover, Dallas and Jake blocked some shots at the rim. Zay had great stunts and closeouts. Davian contested Clark. Dream had a great sprint back in defensive transition when it looked like they were going to get an easy basket. And I think Beekman or somebody threw it out of bounds, but Dream was really hustling. I thought we possessed all the 50-50 balls that we got our hands on. Dream had a great tip-out offensive rebound to gain a possession late. Zay hit the ball off a defender, saved a possession, also had a great offensive rebound. Put back. Man had offensive rebounds and baskets. And so Davian had one. So I thought we did really well in those 4 areas. And, as far as doing what you're supposed to do when you're supposed to do, I thought we did a good job execution-wise. Now that we're in the spring semester, I want to give Jane Caldwell the credit she deserves working with our team. She's been doing this for a long time. And we had 10 guys in our program with over a 3.0. And those guys do all the work, and she does a great job of helping with our team, and she deserves a lot of credit. Damari Monsanto, after meeting with our medical team last week, him and his parents decided he will play. A lot of credit goes to him for working hard in his rehab with Mark Armour, our trainer, who's fabulous. Damari and his family made the decision, and he'll be available to play against Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech, I think Michael DeVoe is one of the premier players in our league, multidimensional, one of those guys that can really play off the bounce. Jordan Usher, the same way, really competitive young man, really good player. Tough matchup because he's got great size. Parham's been hurt, been in and out. They've got some other good pieces, and I know we haven't had a lot of success in the past there from what I've been told. I didn't realize that, but we're going down there to play a tough game and hopefully get another road win. With that, I'll open it up for questions.
Hey, Steve, with Damari being available Wednesday, is this one of those things where like his involvement and his participation will probably ramp up as the season progresses if things go well?
I hope so, Les. I don't really have a number on how many minutes he can or can't play. Obviously can't play the minutes that man and some of those guys are playing right now, and it's not warranted anyway. I think it'll be situational a little bit, how the game's going, what we're need or don't need at that time. And he's not in any kind of shape to play, 20 plus minutes. And so we'll ease him in, and hopefully, he can help the team. Now you got to understand, he's been practicing. So it's not like he's just all of a sudden going to get in there. He's been going up and down now for a couple of weeks. And so we're looking forward to, him joining the team and helping us become a better team.
The fans are pretty excited about his addition today. Do you have any, I guess, expectation or hope of what he can bring to your team down the stretch of the season, Steve? What's the best case scenario for what Damari can bring?
I think we should temper expectations just based on the fact that he hasn't been in there for 8 months, or however long it's been. It's May when Mike Starkey walked in my office, and I thought he was going to pass out when he told me that Damari had, snapped his Achilles. And so I think we need to temper that, Well, now what I've seen from Damari, me as a coach and somebody who has coached him in the past, is that Damari can really shoot the basketball. Now he's got to make them too. There's a difference between shooters and makers, but he's a really good shooter. Ball comes out of his hand nice. He's got size. He's a really good passer. He's got some of that man in him. He can really see the court, and he's got size, and he's unselfish. And so I like that about him. And for a guy who's, I'm not being disrespectful, and Damari's not an elite athlete, but he's a really good rebounder. He's got a nose for the ball, and he's got some size to go get it. So those are the things that I think he can help us with. Again, I think we need to temper that, especially in the next couple 3 weeks as he gets into playing. He's coming right into the ACC, guys. He's not coming into the non-conference schedule. Now one of the advantages for him, I think, was hard for him as a freshman. After I left and Coach Shea had him, he was the freshman of the year. That as a freshman, when you're at the top of the scouting report, sometimes that's a hard thing to handle, and he did a pretty good job with that. He won't be at the top of the scouting report here. He'll be a piece. And so I think that'll help him to ease in and make a contribution to our team.
Steve, you always hear people talk about how teams have to learn how to win, but you guys won a couple of overtime games early. The Syracuse game, you make a defensive play and win in overtime. And then this weekend, you go into a really tough place to play. You're trailing most of the second half and find a way to win. When did this team and how did this team learn to win? Or is that just a bunch of baloney that, it's one of those things where it's individually and everybody's different?
I thought that was great coaching. No, honestly, I don't know. I think it's more just going through those situations. I think you just said it. Once you go through one, you learn how to play better the next time, and each time I think we've played better. I don't think we played really well against Oregon State and when it was tight. We didn't get great shots when the game was on the line. We didn't get stops. So we learned a little bit there. Northwestern, maybe in regulation again, so shot, but we called timeout in overtime and got it to Jake. We got to win, right? We knew what we were looking for against Charlotte. I think you just kind of grow with that. And then the players, they got to trust each other. And they do. And the more they go through those things, the more they do. And I think as a staff, we got to give them confidence to make those plays. Again, like you said, against Syracuse, we put the ball in the right player's hands, and he made the decision to pass it the second time, Alondas, for a win or a tie at that point. And then I think on Saturday, it's just one of those things, we talk a lot about, a next play mentality, right? You got to have a short memory. You got to keep plugging. You got to keep playing. And I've been in a lot of games like that flip. I've had it happen to me and I've had it the other way, and we just nobody was down when it was, I don't know, was it 47-40 or something like that? I mean, nobody was we weren't unconfident that we weren't going to win. We just had to make the right plays, and we did, and got on a roll and won the game. So I think it's just a progression, to be honest with you, and we've been able to do it.
And as a quick follow-up, you just mentioned trusting each other. We've got a whole bunch of transfers that are really just kind of getting meshed this year. How do you go about, doing that and making them trust each other and becoming a unit when they're all coming in from different places like that?
Well, I told you I like Burger King All-Americans, like to kick McDonald's ass. I guess I got the McDonald's secret sauce. I worked at McDonald's when I'm probably I know I'm the only coach in the ACC that's worked at McDonald's. I could promise.
I don't know. Pat Pastner, maybe. You never know with him.
No. I know Josh. I know. Nope. I don't know. I think I don't know. I mean, we all have our strengths and weaknesses, right? And there's a lot of things I'm not very good at, but I do feel like I'm pretty good at putting teams together, getting them to play together and believe in each other through tough love, like being hard on them, but yet loving on them. And then they have to do it. That's not me. They've got to believe in each other, and we have good people. I think it comes down to recruiting. You try to do the best you can. It's not recruiting is not a perfect science at all. And you don't really know something about any player until you put them in an adverse situation, and you're not going to really see them in adversity when you're recruiting them, especially when you're only doing it on Zoom. And you think about this entire team was recruited on Zoom as well. It wasn't like we went out and saw them all play, had a home visit, went and talked to the coach. We didn't get any of that. I think it's a credit to them and their desire to want to win and want to play together and share the ball and trust each other, and then having your two best players are very unselfish. Alondis and Jake are our two best players, and they are very, very, very unselfish. In fact, Jake's too unselfish at times, in my opinion. And so I think that's probably the reason why with this team in this moment.
Thanks, Steve. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Steve, do you guys talk about the NCAA tournament, or is that something for February and just get through January at this point?
And not right now, it's definitely something. I think once you get through the midway point of any of your conference, you start creeping into February. Maybe you start addressing it. I've never really been one to talk much about it, but to be honest with you, I've always been in a disrespected situation with that as a head coach. Because of being in the SoCon, everybody just pretty much said we had to win the conference tournament to go, which I thought was baloney, especially my last year when we were 30-4. We were one of the top 25 teams in the country, never got there. I think we were 26. That's why I don't put a lot of stuff in the rankings. And I was a voter. So I know what those guys, I know from experience what it's like to be a voter. And so I don't really talk about that, especially right now. I don't even look at it. But I understand the excitement behind it for the fans. I get it. But for me personally, and the team, I don't think that's something until you have those conversations more as you get in February, closer to March.
Steve, looking at the matchup Wednesday against Georgia Tech, I guess on paper, it's pretty easy to say that it's an attractive matchup between Michael DeVoe and Alondis Williams. What do you see in that matchup? And then what else will go into that game aside from that matchup?
Well, obviously Michael's a really good player. I mean, multidimensional, a lot like those guards at Miami, a guy that can keep his dribble alive, can get to the basket, can shoot threes, has good pace. He's herky-jerky. He's been around. He's a good player. I feel the same way with Usher. Those guys have a really winning experience, and you can't put a price tag on that. So, the first time we played them coming off the pause, basically a year ago, we didn't guard them very well. And then I thought we guarded them better here at home in the last game. before we went in the tournament. We didn't do a good job the first time of attacking them offensively against the zone. We looked like we never seen one. And the reality of it was we hadn't, because we really hadn't been together for 33 days. I thought we did a much better job at home at the end of the year attacking it. So I feel like we'll have a good plan. We've got different players, obviously. And so I think it'll all come down to us defending them. Their offense is, and don't freak out, fans, it's a lot like VMI, and so we didn't do a great job early. Now, we tried to do something a little different against VMI that we hadn't done all year, and we didn't. We scrapped it at halftime, and so we'll have a plan going in to guard that. And I think that game will help us, preparing us for this game. And so it'll be a hard game. I watched a little bit so far. I haven't watched all of it yet, but I think Josh did an unbelievable job with his team. And I know he lost a couple good players last year, all league guys, and Parham's been hurt or out. And so they've had COVID, some issues, I think. And so they've been disjointed a little bit, but I'm sure they're going to start to kind of get on a roll here. And I know it'll be a hard game.
You made the comparison of DeVoe to the guards at Miami. Is this a game where you're going to see how your adjustments to the ball screen defense, how that works against a guard like that, or is that applicable at all, Steve?
I don't think so. They might set a few, but they're not a heavy ball screen team. They're more of like a BMI cutting, back cutting. They'll set some, but we'll be ready for those. I mean, we've made that adjustment a couple, 3 or 4 weeks, 2-3 weeks ago after Miami, and we've done awfully well with it since. And so it'll come into play some less. I mean, they're not 0%, but they're different than Miami. I use that example more just the way he can keep his dribble. I'm impressed with the Miami guards, that the way they're able to still be guarded, but yet still keep their dribble and then probe and then get in there and make a play. That's hard to do. And he's kind of like that. He could do the same thing.
Is there any advantage to the fact that your next two opponents played each other on Saturday? So when you scout when you scout Georgia Tech, you're also scouting Carolina?
Helps me. One less film I got to watch. That was the half that I've watched so far was that game, and so I don't ever look ahead, but obviously you're watching, you can see what's going on. And, I've seen Carolina play. I don't watch a lot of our league. I just don't like to do that until we play them. I did watch them early in the year against Charleston. I thought it was a hell of a win for them on the road in a really tough environment. Impressed with Carolina. I mean, again, we talk about rankings. Seriously, they're not ranked. Break. They're good. They're really good.
Do you watch what they did to DeVoe? I mean, they held him to 2 points, and be able to take anything from that, or is it different personnel, different, everything?
It's a good point. I noticed that they did an unbelievable job. They, Love is big and athletic. Leaky Black is big and athletic. We'll take notice of that a little bit. They also have the rim protection. When he gets in there, they got Big Coat and whoever those guys, Garcia, Manic. Those guys are all long and tall. Yeah, we'll peek at that and definitely watch it. But every game's different, and it was on the road, and now he's playing at home. He'll feel better. He'll feel more comfortable at home, I'm sure, like most players do. But yeah, we'll watch that. I thought they did a really good job. They never really gave up the basket to him. They kept a body in front of him for the most part, and that's a hard thing to do with him. And so that was an impressive outing by Carolina for sure.
Anything else for Coach? All right. Looks like that's it.
Be safe. See you.
Thanks, Coach. Thanks, Lucy.